Hello, hello, hello. A very warm welcome to you again this beautiful Sunday morning. Oh, Sunday evening. Well, it might be Sunday morning for some of you out there, different time zones, but I am super excited to see you again on Africa Rise with Susan West. And as usual, I've been counting down the days, the hours, to the minutes to see my people again. Today, we're going to be having J.F.K Abiona. He is going to be telling us how to strategize for a comeback after the pandemic. Yes, everything that has a beginning surely does have an end. So there is surely going to be light at the end of this tunnel of COVID-19. So, how about that? Remember, as you join this broadcast, create watch parties, share this broadcast with your friends and family, like and follow Susan West on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is also Susan West. I am super excited today, very happy for many reasons. I don't want to take too much of your time. Maybe I'll share with you later. But in the meantime, I would like to quickly bring our guests. And let me holla at Rahina Bello, my dear friend. She's here. I appreciate you all the time. And for some of you who keep complaining that I don't read out your comments, that's because you're probably watching from watch parties that I cannot see. So if you do join us from the page or from YouTube, I will be able to see your live comments. Be that as it may, I will still get the opportunity to respond to your comments or questions after the broadcast is over. All right. So at this very point, I will be bringing on live J.F.K Abiona. Oh, I can see my guest has done some kind of disappearing act. In the meantime, I still will be talking. Yes, he was here looking at me just now, and I couldn't find him. Oh, there he is. He is back. Welcome. We were fine just a minute ago. This is one of my nightmares every time I have a guest from my beloved Nigeria. But I know that we are going to be sorted out. I cannot understand why he's frozen. I will take him off the screen and try to see if he will be able to get himself back on. So bear with us. Don't leave in a hurry. These things happen. It's technology after all. So in the meantime, whilst we're still trying to figure out why he's frozen, of course, many of us Nigerians understand. If you can hear me, JFK, could you please, oh, can you hear me now? All right. Oh, you were frozen. You were frozen. But welcome back. Frozen again.
I hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, this network in Nigeria, we have to do something about it. It is not good. It is always trying to sabotage us when we go live. This is not something I anticipated because when I did speak to him earlier, everything seemed to work out really fine. So please remember to send in your comments, send in your questions if you do have questions, or of course just comments, and bear with us, stick with us, don't run away. The network will have to be subdued somehow. Glory to God. Somebody say, Glory to God. It's a Sunday. I'm sure for us who are Christians, we've been to church, we've given worship to God, whether it's physically or online. And it's the same thing. He hears our prayers and our cries and our calls. J.F.K Abiona is here, and quite unfortunate that we are still struggling. Thaddeus, assalamu alaikum for people who understand, who are Africans who speak Arabic. I think that means welcome. And it is Indewo in Igbo. It is Bawo. Is it Bawo? No. Yoruba is not Bawo. No. What's that Yoruba word? And it is um okay, I'll think. Brain freeze for languages. Oh yeah, Rahina says it is called network. I know, and it seemed to be just Nigeria that seemed to have this witchcraft of the network problem, because for the rest of Africa, we constantly um, we're constantly you know, for the rest of Africa, it is always okay when the show is on. Mr. Abiona, could you take yourself off and come back again, if that will work, please? In the meantime, can you suggest what we can talk about? Glory, Gigi, I can see you. Are there things you'd like us to just chit chat about? The strategy to a comeback after the storm of COVID-19 is the topic of discussion today. But the network is trying to sabotage us, but we won't be overwhelmed by it. No, we won't be. Because everyone here have come to learn something positive that will take them to the next level. Okay, I have a look. Yes, he's gone off, and hopefully he's going to be back in a moment. And just before JFK comes back, I just want to talk about something is going on at the African Union. The African Union has as the chairman, Mr. Moussa Faki. He is a former Chad, is a president or prime minister of Chad, and he's been at the helm of affairs at the African Union. And to my greatest shock, I read online and I began to ask questions, because he's been there doing nothing. We haven't felt any impact. He's not one of the people who are ready to speak up for Africa, to stand up for the youth of Africa, to stand up for what is, Africa's interest, should be Africa's interest. Okay. I can see he's changed position into a vehicle or something. Yet, it is said that no one is going to be allowed to run against him. And hearing that is like a nightmare. Like, how many more years do you have as a young person, even if you're 20 years old, even if you're 30 years old, to have another 4 years of an ineffective leadership of any kind in Africa? We cannot afford that. And that's the reason why everybody should keep abreast with what goes on at the African Union. It's not a topic for today. And I can see Mr. J.F.K Abiona is back, but still frozen. And I do not know what to do again, but to keep talking about the African Union. And I know Washington Stanley says the AU is a charade, but we can revive the AU. We have people who are Pan-Africanists, who love Africa, who have given so much, and it's not rocket science that these people should be the ones at the helm of affairs, the ones to take over the reign of leadership at the African Union. People like PLO Lumumba, people like Dr. Arikana Chayombre Kwayo. I love her name so much, I'm not even sure I'm saying it right. There are so many other people on the continent of Africa who we know will put us first, everything that concerns us first. Yet they put someone who seemed to enjoy a good relationship with France. And so, for that reason, he's going to be imposed on us. This is an opportunity that I have stolen to talk about this African Union, drama. Let me see if I can bring back our guests, and then we will take it from there. Oh, Lord, Nigeria. Someone said to me they don't sing the anthem anymore. Hello, Mr. JFK. This I'm not gonna let this bother
Susan,
me. I can hear you now. I heard Susan. Oh Lord.
can you hear me?
I can hear you now. It is so heartbreaking that the network is this bad. Please, let's
Can you
just
hear me?
go. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hmm.
Well,
Glory Grace Shannon.
can you
Say
see me? I can hear you.
I can hear you too, but you're breaking up. You're breaking up, and but let's see how it goes. Take it from here. How do we strategize for a comeback after COVID-19, after the pandemic? Oh, he's smiling at me.
To
Oh,
reinvent
oh Lord,
ourselves.
not good.
Reinvent
Network
ourselves.
is
That's
not good. I'm gonna quickly
the
take
most
a
important.
read. Glory Grace Shannon says that reinstatement was uncalled for. There are countries, other great people qualified. There are countries, I suppose, from other countries, great and qualified for the post. Totally. That is why I think that they think that we're foolish, that we're stupid, and we're not. This is this is not the era where they think that we don't matter or we don't know what is going on, and that's the reason we must talk about it, make noise about it, share it with your friends, because they keep doing these things and getting away with it because they know that the youth of Africa, the young people in Africa, or Africans in general, will just not care. They've stolen our future. Enough is enough. This is the time where we must make sure that everyone knows about what is going on at the African Union. No more incompetent people holding offices, no more ineffective people, no more docile people who are just there to take salaries and do nothing to improve the state of Africa. Let me try again with JFK. I see he's trying to get a good position to sit down. Soon as he's seated, I will bring him back on the screen. So if there's anything you want to say, if you're watching from the watch parties, I apologize that I can't see your comments. So, but if you can, um, if you're watching from my page where I'm broadcasting from or from YouTube, please do well to send in your contributions in any form, questions or comments. Welcome. All right. Oh. You know what? I could have blamed the devil for this right now. I could have said the devil is a liar. We know the devil is a liar. There is no need to keep saying the devil is a liar at this point, because all they need to do is make sure that they sort out good connectivity in Nigeria. I mean, when I have guests in other parts of Africa, from Kenya, from South Africa, from Zimbabwe, we've never had to deal with you know these issues as much as we do every time we have a guest from Nigeria. Every time we have a guest from Nigeria, it's a situation where your heart pounds because you're thinking, I hope everything goes well. That's not right. These are one of the issues, some of the issues that we need to call them out and make sure that they give us what we deserve, which is the best. Yes, it's a pity that our time is fast moving, yet we've not been able to get anything through in today's broadcast. We will make the best of it anyhow. What?
Okay, but it's quite some time.
It's trying to make us feel like we have a nightmare, but we're not going to make the situation overwhelm us. No. If you heard my first question, please go ahead and respond. Let's see how it goes if we're able to hear you.
Okay, can you now?
Go ahead.
No. About the COVID.
Oh no. Oh no. It is sad because this is supposed to be jam-packed with so much. Oops. Let's sing a song. Somebody suggests a song. Let's sing a song. If you're watching from my watch party, I am able to read your comments. So go ahead and type in your comments or questions or whatever you have to say. Yes, her Empress Ebiere Joseph Akunwa. We can hear you, Susan, but not James. I know. It's a network in your beloved country, Nigeria. And there's nothing we can do about it. But we can go on talking about the situation at the African Union. I mean, why should we be overburdened by having another 4 years of Moussa Faki, who is essentially the president of Africa? Anyone who is heading the African Union is the president of Africa. And so he's been there dancing only to the tune of France and doing their biddings. Yet he comes up unopposed. Like, that's like telling us that we should go to hell. We can do nothing about it. And by the way, the format in which they do the selection of who can contest for the chairmanship of the African Union is old, archaic, and should be done away with. I think at this point in time, we as Africans all over the continent of Africa should call for a popular vote system where every country will vote and we will vote for who we want to become the head of the African Union, as opposed to the heads of states or presidents of these African countries nominating or having all the powers to say, we're not going to support you, because then what happens is that all the powers lie in the hands of the elites, most of whom are very corrupt and bought over anyway. So they have the ability to manipulate, to make sure that the people who can be there at the head and make a difference, the people who will take our issues, African issues, and fight for us, will never have the opportunity to take over the reign of leadership at the African Union. Therefore, a good place to start would be to call for the fact we should sign some kind of what's the word? My head. Someone help me, type it and tell me, you know what I'm trying to say. We should sign a what? Petition. We should sign a petition. We should start a petition. We should ask that we vote as individuals from all the countries on the African continent or off the African continent, and we should be the ones who vote in who takes over the leadership, the chairmanship of the African Union. Then and then only are we going to see the African Union become as powerful as it should be. At the moment, the African Union is like a toothless bulldog, simply because the person at the in leadership of the African Union is someone who is romancing and frolicking with the powers that be in France, and therefore he will only do as France tells him to do. And I, at my age right now, I am worried that I cannot have an ineffective, docile leadership in the African Union. Therefore, it is my duty, this is a duty call, to make sure that what I know, I actually know the crime that they are committing at the African Union. Okay? I cannot remember many names, but I know there are many competent Pan-Africanists all around the African continent that can better occupy that position of the chairman of the African Union. And therefore, we will not sit quietly and allow them to hijack it and put only someone who dances to the tune of France. Say something. Even when this broadcast is over, do your own research. Go online, read about it. Who is Moussa Faki? What are his achievements? What are his antecedents? What difference has he made? This is not about a witch hunt. This is about finding effective people to occupy positions that means the future of the African youth is not mortgaged again and again, over and over again. Yeah, Washington Stanley says network is frustrating. I know. Unfortunately, we have very little control over that. And Rahina Bello says, well said, the whole of Africa needs to vote. Absolutely, we all need to vote. And her Empress Ebiere Joseph Akuma says, nice. Okay, thank you. Yes, she says, nice afro anyway. Yeah, but unfortunately, it's a shame style of leadership currently in our African countries. A template of leadership where men, well stricken in age, won't relinquish power. And what's the rest of the message? Won't relinquish power and won't live up to our expectation. I agree with you, absolutely, Susan, that we should introduce an individual election of leaders to the AU and not election by member states. That's the way to go. I mean, we should get informed. We should talk about these things. I know a lot of people don't know much about the AU. They think it doesn't concern them. It does concern you. This is about your future. I mean, if you are 40 years of age right now, another 4 years is getting you close to 40. You're going to be 44, and then someone sits down there doing nothing, taking salaries and dancing to the tune of France. So if France says the Afro, the currency that is supposed to be the currency for the rest of Africa, is never going to see the light of day. The ECOWAS, the ECHO, that is supposed to be the currency that we use in the West African region as our legal tender, is going to be something that is literally just a renamed CFA. or Sefa, Sefa is someone's name, Sefa, then that's what it's going to be. I mean, for how long? For how long are we going to allow criminal act? You know, so it's about time we educate ourselves. It's about time we get involved. It's not about what's in there for me. No one is paying me to say this. No one is paying me to know these things. But I'm knowing these things. I am keeping myself abreast because this is the future of Africa. We want a better Africa. We want to live a better Africa than the one we were born into. Some of us were lucky to have been born into a relatively good and great Africa, but it's so deteriorated to the point where, you know, we can't even remember. And our guest is back on. Hopefully, I will try to add him to the stream, to the screen, and see if it works. Oh my God. I'm left to talk. There's no one talking back, but it's okay. I'm imagining that everyone else is with me. Please go ahead and respond to the first question.
Yeah, thank you. It's about reinventing ourselves. For all the lockdown, the COVID-19, and every change that the world is experiencing, the most important thing we need to know is that it's not what will come will come. It's whom you have become that will determine whether you'll be a victim or a victor. You know, it's all about self-mastery. It's all about you getting to reinvent yourself so that you can actually use COVID-19 instead of COVID-19 using you.
Right.
You know, because in life, when things happen, some are victims, some are victors. My streets, there are two houses there, and then my house and one other house.
Right.
And the rest of the streets have about 8 houses. During the COVID-19, they were uncompleted. But I mean, before COVID-19, they were uncompleted. But during the COVID-19, they were completed. So meaning that it's been favorable to some people, you know. So I will say the first thing you need to do is to reinvent yourself. If you want to take a yes. And to reinvent yourself, you need to ask yourself 7 questions. Number 1 question is, who am I? You need to, that is called identity.
Right.
The second thing you need to do is to actually, okay, what problem am I created to solve? That's assignment. And the third thing you need.
The network is emboldened and so rude. I mean, literally just cut the man off the middle of. First of all, he says, ask yourself, who am I? He says, reinvent yourself. Unfortunately, I don't have a pen here. I didn't write down what he said so far. Someone can recap, someone who is smarter than I am in retaining information. Please recap that for us. He says, ask yourself who you are. He says to reinvent yourself, and what was the next thing he said? And don't put Addison says we need to fight this like our lives depend on it. Referring to the African Union situation. Absolutely. I agree with you. People need to begin to understand that the nonchalant attitude we've had on the African continent for so long is the reason we are in the state where we are right now, where the entire world lack respect for Africans. They think we're subhuman. Why? Because we have not demonstrated that we can take care of our home, of ourselves. But we are too sophisticated a people, a civilization, to allow for mediocrity to continue to reign in everything that concerns us. Therefore, this is the time to raise your voices. This is the time to tell your next door neighbor to go on and keep abreast with what's going on at the African Union. And of course, J.F.K Abiona was beginning to give us pointers on how to make a comeback after the pandemic COVID-19. And he had stated, know yourself, reinvent yourself. Reinventing of self is what I do best. So if you are confused on how to go about reinventing yourself, I can mentor you. Yes, because you need to understand the times and move with the tides of the times. Otherwise, you're going to sink. Right now, the world is in a situation of sink or swim. Which one is it going to be for you? Are you going to let it drag you down, or are you going to stay afloat, at least for as long as possible, if you cannot swim yet? And Washington Stanley says, because Western world never allowed great minds to govern any African country. We know that. We know that this has been the situation. We were in the dark in the past. Now we know. But the way forward now is that when people are sensitized and are more aware of what the situation is, the truth of the matter is the power lies with the people. We have the power. When we do come together and decide that we're not going to take nonsense, that we're not going to let all these people impose their stooge or stooges on us anymore, then the change will begin. Because the Bible says that the voice of the people is the voice of God. Why? Because when people come together and speak, there is no force in the world that can overcome them. So as Africans, it is time to stop thinking that we're powerless, that we can't do anything about the situation we find ourselves in, because the Western powers are the ones, deciding for us. If you told your next door neighbor, your friends, your family members about what is going on, and we sign a petition to say that we want individual countries to begin to vote and take away the power from the already hand-stained, palm oil-stained hands of the politicians that are in charge of the African continent, then, and then alone, will we have a chance to, to rescue the African Union. The African Union can be powerful, yes, the African Union can be, but right now it is not. It is not, because when the head is not right, the body cannot be right. Right. So unfortunately, I'm still waiting to see. Washington Stanley says, I support the motion. Absolutely. So in a few, we will start the petition. And when you do see the petition, please don't forget to sign the petition and share it with the rest of your community. We should sign that petition. We have powers. Now they know that we have powers. Yes. So can anyone who is watching, who was able to gather the 3 points, I believe JFK had given before the network rudely interrupted, just type it and send it as a comment, because I'm trying to remember. The only things I remember him saying is asking yourself who you are and then reinventing yourself. And then, of course, he made mention about, even during the COVID, there are people who have been making money or who are successful in what they do. Yes, it is true, because everywhere there's a need, there is an opportunity. So in the time during the pandemic, in the time of, when everyone was terrified of what was going on around the world, some people were still making money. Why? Because they have the ability to see that where there is a need, there is an opportunity. What is it that is lacking at the moment around you? What is it that is lacking in your community? What is it that is lacking around the people you know? And what and how, when you begin to think of how you can proffer solutions, then you become a winner. The people who proffer solutions are the ones ruling the world now. Yes. So during the COVID, what was it that was lacking? What was it that you saw? What was that gap that you could feel? Don't sit down thinking someone else will do it. That is the opportunity for you to tap into, to to fly. I am I am just praying that we're already 35 minutes into our broadcast today and the network isn't playing. But I'm hoping that we'll have another chance with the J.F.K Abiona, and hopefully the network complies. So continue to send in your comments, questions if you do have any. I am not an expert whatsoever, but I've got life experiences and I like to do my research. So sometimes I can come across like I know quite a lot. Yes, I do know quite a lot because I like to always research and know what's going on and try to improve myself. Yes, when he says to reinvent yourself, what I am doing right now is not so much so of a reinvention because it's in line with what I've done before. But yes, it is a reinvention in another regard because I did not wait to say that until I have a platform of a mainstream media that I will be doing what I am doing right now. And I do enjoy doing what I'm doing. And guess what? You can think, don't be shy. Washington Stanley says COVID moment was actually moment of self-reflection. Absolutely. And her Empress Ebere Joseph Akunwa says, neocolonialism in the 21st century, our political leaders are still analog in a digital age. If the AU is not independent to take its own decisions, how can we then have a voice at the United Nations and other global platforms? That's absolutely. I mean, what? Thank God I remembered this one. Something I always wanted to say. When I was younger, we used to love America and Europe and the UK because they always sent aid to Nigeria, to Africa. We thought of them as these great, generous people who keep sending aid to Nigeria or Africa. Do you know the insult it is to keep receiving aid? If we keep on remaining in that attitude and mindset to keep collecting arms, they will never respect us. I mean, even on the streets of London, the frown of people begging. So literally what Africa does is, who remembers the Fela song that says, you cannot give me my own property? Absolutely. What they're doing is not giving us arms. They're just giving us our own property and making it look like they're being generous. Is that rocket science to understand even in this day and age? Twinkle Oruwarie, hello, I can see you. It's not rocket science to understand that when they do not allow us to have the freedom to make our own future, to run our own economies, but why do we need them to give us the permission? We don't need them to give us a permission to run our economies ourselves. Why do they have the upper hand to make that decision? Because you and I refuse to get involved and make sure that do or die, that the right people take over government offices and government spaces, that people who are not qualified don't find their way to hold, to leading us, Yes, we should stop dancing and being grateful for when they do send aid to Africa. It is an insult. If you have never thought of it that way before, it is time to begin to think of it, because every raw material that the entire world uses, at least 80 to 90% comes from the continent of Africa. So when you do put in the right people in government positions who are not afraid to stand up for their own people, when we do say we're not going to ship out our crude oil to be refined abroad and then sold back to us in Nigeria, when we do say that we're going to make the final product of the hides and skin that goes to Italy, and then they don't even give us credit as Nigerians to say that 90% of the hide and skin that is used to make all the beautiful leather shoes and furnitures in Italy comes from Nigeria. They don't even give us credit for that. When we get to that point, then and then only will they begin to respect us. We're not going to get to that point by just sitting down and speaking in tongues and praying nonstop. Prayer is good. Prayer will warm up your spirit, will fire you up to want to do things. Then after prayer, you get up and you walk and you do something, you know. People, please send in your comments. I'm not sure how long I'm going to go on waiting for J.F.K Abiona. It's such a shame that we would have had such a fantastic conversation today. Her Empress again, Joseph Akunwa, Ebere Joseph Akunwa says, "You are doing great, Susan. Aid is a trap to economic slavery and not emancipation. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender. So says the Holy Scriptures." 100%. You know, even back home, we need to change attitudes. That those attitudes that make us want to look pitiful all the time. You know, someone comes begging, they want to tell you emotional stories to make you give. Look for who is going to teach you how to fish as opposed to giving you fish all the time. When they give you fish all the time, first of all, they're human beings like you, they're mere mortals. They give you fish today. What if tomorrow you go back to get some more fish and they're gone? Because no one knows. Why would you want to give all the power to someone else? Every power you give to somebody else to determine what your life should be like. And Washington Stanley says again, we misunderstood the West. We saw them as people with good heart and are willing to help. However, West don't want us to grow. The West, he means, they want us to always be dependent upon them. That is a fact. That is a fact. You know, so do we like it when we see our brothers and sisters dying in the Mediterranean Sea? Do we like it when we see that they're still struggling to come to Europe, not through proper means of getting proper documentation and getting visas and going on a plane, but they go through the desert, they're dying? If the African Union, if the governments of the governments of the African countries were anything to write home about, this should not be happening. We too should have the opportunity to sit down, relax, and decide whether we want to go on as a tourist to a country, spend a few days, you know, improve the economy by spending some of our cash buying stuff and coming back home and happily returning home, not running away to countries we most of the time do not wish to run away to, but the situation back home is not good, and that's the driving force. So it is our responsibility. Whilst we are in churches praying, we should know that after the prayer comes the real work, because it is when we do put action to it that we begin to see the miracles unravel before our very. Oh my goodness, it is 44 minutes gone so far. And I do apologize for those of you who have been eager to see J.F.K Abiona. The network just wasn't letting him stay, and there is hardly anything I can do about it. And right about now, I'm going to ask him to try one more time. Yes, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna ask him to try to come back on one more time, and if that doesn't work, we're gonna call it a day. But so far, so good. I don't believe that we've wasted our time because we've had a conversation. Yes, we've had a conversation because I can read what I can, I believe that we're going somewhere. And so remember that after this broadcast, that you should keep yourself abreast with the reason why Moussa Faki, of the chairman of the African Union, is going to be returned unopposed. Why? When he has not done his bits. He's not, there is nothing fantastic goes on at the African Union under his leadership. Therefore, we don't want him there for another 4 years. Yes, her Empress Ebiore Joseph Akonwa says, absolutely, faith without works is dead. We can't always be praying when we are supposed to be taking action. That is it. We cannot spend all our time praying and then we sit down and wait for manna to fall from the sky. It doesn't happen like that anymore. Okay, I'm going to give 5 more minutes, and if J.F.K is unable to come on, we will be calling it a day on Africa Rise with Susan West. And I do hope that I've been able to inform you, educate you, if you will, inspire you to keep abreast with what concerns your continent and your people. Get involved any way we can. Yes. What else am I going to do? I'm just going to, it's unfortunate. We've never had this. Have we had it this bad before? I suppose not. Okay. So it's been Africa Rise with Susan West. And the topic that was supposed to be discussed today is how to strategize on a comeback after the pandemic. But you see, we find ourselves at the mercy of the Nigerian telecommunications that have failed us. Washington Stanley says, Indewo, thank you. How do I respond in Igbo now? Indewo is Indewo, I guess. So, have failed us and would not let us have our guests. But I suppose that the time have not been wasted, because at least we can walk away with one thing. That is the fact that we now know they are about to impose another 4 years on us of Moussa Faki of Chad. And we want an opportunity to have the power to vote. So we will be starting a petition to that effect, that every individual on the African continent deserves to choose who heads the African Union, therefore taking away the power from the corrupt leadership that sabotages itself. Yes, indeed. Well, I know a lot of words in Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, but every time I come on air, it seems to fly out the roof. Okay, I guess we will have to reschedule this topic to another time. Grace Shannon says, terrible and unexpected. It's all good, Susan. You anchored the episode intelligently. Merci beaucoup, like they say in France. Imete in my language, Kalabari, and Dalu in Igbo, Nagode in Hausa, and in Yoruba it is Eshegon. Eshegoni. Yes. I'm so happy that you stayed. You know, I can see quite a few people stayed back. Thank you for your support. Because if you weren't here, I would not have continued talking because it was unplanned. But as usual, the passion, the love that I have for my continent, Africa, always keeps me fired up. So at this point, I think I will be saying a very big thank you to all those who joined this broadcast and hope that next week we'll have better reception. But my guest for next week is not coming from Nigeria. So I am almost 100% sure that that will not be the case. The network problem will not be the case. And I just want to say how much I love you, that you stayed, that you supported, that you contributed. And I want to remind you to take the message away. And the very first things JFK said that we should also walk away with, even though he didn't have enough time to expatiate on it, is the fact that we have to know who we are. We have to learn to reinvent ourselves. And also, there is always opportunity in every situation. There were people who were making money during the pandemic, not people stealing government money. No, no, no. There are people who made legitimate money during the pandemic because they were thinking outside the box. Look around your community, look around your environment. If there is a need, that in this capitalist world, when you do have the opportunity to fulfill a need, it creates an opportunity for you to create wealth for yourself. And on that note, please allow me to say thank you very much. And I love you and God bless you. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is _Susan West. Like and follow my page on Facebook. It is _Susan West. Also, like and follow us on Instagram. That's the way we do it. Keep it locked here again, 6 p.m. next Sunday. Though there might be some midweek broadcast that I'm planning because it is urgent. There is no time to waste. So I'm actually thinking that we might have an episode midweek, maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday, but I will let you know as we go on because there's so much to talk about. Do take good care of yourself. And I'm ending on a very high note. I feel really happy, even though things didn't go according to plan. God bless you. Bye bye.